Because, like, let's be honest, parents nowadays are lazy. You don't want to take care of your kid, you make them watch TV, YouTube, and you give them cell phones. Oh
Oh
no. Oh
no!
no. And then since you're lazy parents, and my kid is being so violent now, he's being so stupid. It must be the game's fault. It must be TV. It's not the parent's fault because they wouldn't spend time with their kid. Like, we need to blame something, for goodness sake. And well, conveniently, there's TV and there's YouTube and games. Like, guys, society, parents, get it together.
Welcome to Worship in Waves, where respawn time is 3 days. So we're going to talk about our topic for today, which will be video games, or should Christians play video games? Are video games teaching players to be violent, or is there a good reason I should allow my kids to play video games, or will my kid grow up to be a serial killer after playing all those violent video games? Or should Christians in general even indulge in these kinds of games? So, my guests for today, uh, Rory and Nicky.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
Hey,
hi.
hello. Good evening.
So, yeah, um, all three of us. The reason why we chose this topic is because all three of us have been playing video games since we were children, I guess, from
Yeah,
what you've been saying to me. So we've been playing PlayStation, PC games, and Game Boy, I guess,
yeah.
for you, right? Game Boy was your first like console.
Console,
Also,
yeah, it
yeah,
was.
it was.
Yeah. So yeah, video games are everywhere today. There are even articles saying that there are college courses coming out in careers for video game design, production, and even
Management.
even uh, esports in the
Yeah.
Philippines. I remember a time when
Ourselves the question as a set apart people, is that the best use of my time? Is a mature adult supposed to be playing something like that could be considered a child's activity? Is it dignified? Does it have control over me? The stuff is here to serve me. I'm not here to get addicted to stuff. So it is a question that demands a Christian filter and perspective. Whilst I thought we were making pretty good time in answering those questions, during the break it was brought up that the older generation, the, the one that preceded older folks, might have said about television, that is not a good use of time. That is not something where you should be giving up so much of your discretionary time to get amused and entertained. That's true.
so let's stop there. So what do you say about the first the first few seconds of the clip? Like, based on what he said, what do you think? Like,
I actually like that part where he said it could be something that would be addictive. I like that part a lot because that's one of the bigger problems of gaming right now. Most people use gaming as a form of relaxing, right? It's a way for you to release steam, if you know done with school, done with your homework, take an hour or two. But there are some people that kind of take that idea further. Uh, I know a lot of people that spend something like 6 to 8 hours of gaming, even though they're students. Some even a lot. Like I've seen people, even though they're in nursing, 12 hours in an internet
uh,
cafe straight without doing anything else. Yeah, it's crazy, right? 12 hours of gaming in front of a computer, no breaks, no lunch break, no nothing, just focusing on the game. So there's a fine line between addiction, just like the video mentioned. And there's a fine line between using it as a way to relax, a way to unbend your mind. Because I truly believe that even after work, even after all the things you do in a day, there has to be time for you to. Other people, read books. Other people like playing musical instruments to relax, and some other people find it better to game. It's a easier way for them to release the stress they have for whatever they
Mhm.
experience during the day. So that's kind of my idea on what that guy was saying in the video.
On my behalf, I would like to say that I was a bit put off by how he started because he was saying that gaming could be considered a child's activity. And if we talk about it, gaming in general, as a relaxation tool,
Mm.
is there really an age bracket or limit for you to relax? Whether you're old, a child, or in between, a human being needs time to relax. So I think that gaming, as Rory's mentioned, is a way for a person to relax. So he also took into factor that different people have different ways to relax. So if it's gaming, then I think that you shouldn't be worried about it too much unless it becomes what Rory mentioned, an addiction. So that's all I have to say about that.
Video games, they're essentially just games, right? Um, Back in the early days before there were like the kind of games that we know and love today, there were games like chess or Scrabble or even rock paper scissors. So all of those are games. So the games that we have now are just a more evolved version of the older, simpler games. So they were originally meant to just be a way for people to relax, right? We It's not really something that will turn into addiction unless we make it like part of a big part of our lives. If we choose gaming over our responsibilities like school or our work or our ministry, so that's when it becomes like detrimental for us. But video games in general isn't that bad for me personally. That's what I think. Now, I'm going to look show another video. It's a game that came out just recently that makes me want to come. I haven't been really heavy into playing video games in the past years because of after getting married and having a kid. I haven't had so much time to play video games, but this has really caught my attention.
So, Cloud, you were a soldier first class, right?
Yeah.
Weird.
Really? What's weird about it?
Nothing. Just that you were the same rank.
Huh? As who?
The first guy I ever loved.
Oh,
Wow.
uh,
Your eyes.
Isn't that what you want?
just the 300-pound sack.
Now, for me, when I first heard that it was coming, like I was immediately thinking like, oh man, am I gonna have to buy a PlayStation just for this game? Because that game has been like really huge part of my like high school life. So just knowing that they're doing a remake and a lot of people kind of are on the hype train for it. So just so how about you guys? Like, how does that?
uh, like Kuya Josh and like Eating, I also grew up with that game. Actually, me and my brother used to play that a lot. That's like the only game me and my brother actually finished on the PlayStation. I mean, we played a lot of games. Some we didn't finish, some we finished. But that was like the first thing that we played when we were given our PlayStation. I remember that it was like the biggest game. It's like top three for me and my brother. When I also saw that trailer, I actually saw that when I heard it when it was announced a few years ago, and I was actually thinking the same thing as Kuya Josh. Maybe I should buy a PlayStation 4 for this thing. But right now, I'm just gonna wait it out until they get the PC version out. Anyway, you know, that nostalgia that it brings back. And what Enrique was saying earlier about how people say that games are for, there's a certain age bracket for it, should be spending time with games like this. Uh, every time I see stuff like this, like, they do some sort of remake of some nostalgia thing, I always like think, you know, playing it for the nostalgia's sake, playing it for that, memories that I had back in high school. And I don't think that's bad in any way. I think, you know, when we want to relax, we like playing things that we're more familiar with, what we usually played before. A lot of people are, for example, I know some people that dislike the FPS genre. That's not their thing. Counter Strike was big back in high school, and they're more RPG centric. They like those big stories, and I have nothing against that. I enjoy different genres of games, but for me, I really don't get that. Uh, what people say about games, like you're too old, it's just gonna rot your brain. You know, we've gone through a lot. Actually, I've gone through, me personally. I've gone through some gaming addiction for a time. I used to spend a few hours. Like I can remember my parents uh, locked away our PlayStation because I got a 74 on Filipino. The rest of my grades were fine. And my English was like in the 95. My math was like 92. And then the only subject below like 88 was Filipino and was horrendous. It was 74. And my dad and mom were like, it's done. The PlayStation was putting it in like this wooden chest. They locked up for a year. And all I could do at home was study, watch TV, that's it. And I could barely watch any TV since the TV was in their room. So, you know, that's all I have to say on that.
So yeah, King, how about you? Like,
To be honest, it really made me it made me feel very nostalgic, I guess, because like it's something you grew up with, and it getting a remake affirms that you're in a community of gamers. Okay, so I'd like to point it out that there are some games that bring people together, no matter what what country you're from, or no matter what age you are, or what race you are. And it's one of those games. Final Fantasy VII is of Japanese origin, and well, people in the Philippines, it's been popular here, and even with friends that I have who are in the States, really like it. And I'm really excited for this because playing games like these, or like Final Fantasy VII, actually connects us to other people. And I think it's an opportunity for us to introduce, quote unquote, the Christian gamer. People always mention that what like uh your Christianity comes first in everything you do, in every profession you take. So why not gaming? So maybe this can be, I know it sounds silly, but bear with me, it might become a form of ministry if one uses their platform like Twitch or Mixer, because we know there's so many influencers. Okay, so Facebook influencer, Instagram influencer, Twitter influencer, and many of them are not Christians. But what if you become a Christian gaming influencer on very popular platforms like Twitch and Mixer? So in a way, you can do ministry while gaming. And I think it's a very big and missed opportunity that Christians miss out, because gaming, when you game, I guess, I don't know about other people, but personally, I put my shields, quote unquote shields or defenses are down because you're so absorbed in the game. And maybe we could use that, like ministers or missionaries could use that to really get in touch with the younger generation, that what you do and what you play matters to us. And maybe that could be a way that we could share our faith on a greater platform.
Yeah, that's a good, definitely a good idea. That could be your ministry. Because you mentioned Christian gamer, I saw a video here. It's not about Christian gamers, but it's about the evolution of Christian video games. Virtual warfare. It kind of reminds me of Doom.
Oh, it does. It really does.
So these ones start looking like Flife.
It looks like a ninja on a perfect world. Wait, the title is Timothy and Titus, right?
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So these are games based on the Bible, or are they made by Christian gaming companies, or how are they connected?
Yeah, I guess some of these are from Christian gaming companies, and they use stories or they're influenced by stories or ideas from the Bible. So like even this one, Adam's Venture, I skimmed through this before, and the older ones for this Adam's Adventure, they kind of, I think they were trying to get into Eden or something.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Or they're looking.
Popular?
It's like a Tomb Raider or Uncharted for
Rediscovering Eden.
yeah, something like
Ah,
that.
okay, that's a nice premise.
What's elephant?
It's one of those feeding games, is it? The Noah's Elephant
Yes.
thing.
Oh, this one's modern, 2019.
Ah.
what is that?
And let me try to go to the latest one before we. So this is almost like the kind of games that I already played before, like RYL or so. Yeah. So I just found it funny that there are such things as Christian video games. I never knew there were Christian video games before. So it was kind of funny when I saw that video.
I think it was interesting because I never heard of a Christian game
You have I.
as a gamer.
I've never heard of any of those
I've
games.
never seen or played any of those games that you've shown on the clip.
Were those popular?
I don't think so. Because we probably should have heard of some of them if they
Yes,
were.
if they were.
And I don't think like you know, in this world, when you brand something as Christian, a lot of the like a huge chunk of the population automatically like swipes left.
No, but to be honest, I think that it's kind of a waste because then a Christian game doesn't have to have that stigma. Like you could do something about it with the proper, proper management and proper advertisement. It's like it harkens to the disciples of Jesus. Like Jesus chose his disciples, right? And he prepared them before he sent them out into the world. So like creating a Christian video game is a great and wonderful idea, but you have to develop it. Just as Jesus developed his disciples, you can't just say, "Oh, this is a Christian game. The Lord will bless it. Shoot and release it," without actually developing it. So what do you think, Rory?
Actually, I was looking at some of the games, and I was surprised that some of them even involved any form of violence or swords pulling out. Most games that I would think were like Christian games would be something like Bible stories or something related to that. I didn't know we could have violent Christian games, but I thought the whole Christian community we would be leaning more to something more educational than something more violent than swords,
But
bows, or
I
whatever.
also have to say something about that, Rory, because the Bible itself is very violent.
Yeah.
If you look at
Yeah.
about the wars and like remember the Levite who stabbed the Israelite because he did something with another woman.
Yeah, no, spear through his body
His
and the woman's
body.
body while they're
So
making love.
like the Bible itself is very graphic with its violence. So I am not surprised that those Christian video games have that level of violence.
I'm kind of curious to how those Christian games actually relate to anything, Christian other than the title, other than
The genre, yes.
the genre, the characters. Yeah, I think we could explore some of those games because I have never heard of any of them.
Maybe on your free time.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
should buy
Maybe.
and redo a review on those Christian games.
Christian game review.
Yeah, you can start your own YouTube channel and review Christian games. Before me and my brothers were allowed to play every day, we would our parents asked us to state a benefit or a reason, a good reason why they should let us play for that day. So we usually have to think of like we have to pull any kind of reason out of our like heads when it comes to like the game that we're going to play. Like if we were playing something like Final Fantasy, we would talk. We would say that we would learn how to do this and that. We would learn problem solving. We would learn puzzle solving and planning. So I looked at some articles for what other people thought about the benefits of video games, and it's the same old thing that we like. Even as gamers, we can really like say right away, like problem solving, hand-eye coordination.
Coordination, hand-eye coordination. Like any FPS, like you have to aim and shoot something. Yeah, that's hand-eye coordination.
Teamwork.
Teamwork, communication
Strategy,
skills, strategy,
situational awareness.
and thinking like what is it?
Thinking out of the box.
Box in the moment.
Yeah.
Like you have to like
Reactive.
extemporaneous, like something like extemporaneous reactions or something.
Yeah, there's also like it instills the value of risk taking.
Oh, yeah.
So-
That's something. Yeah.
What I like about it,
High risk.
when you mention risk taking, I think most like the game, any game you play, there's this golden, what's it? A benefit,
Oh, yeah.
and for me, it's resource management. Okay, so let's say resource management. Why? Because let's say in a FPS game, resource management, you only have a certain number of bullets or a certain gun or whatever you have. So you have to manage your resources correctly to pull out the win. Okay, RPG, you have a limited number of potions, HP, mana, whatever they give you. So you're supposed to beat this boss or this map or this level or this dungeon or this instance with whatever you have. Snake. Okay, so Snake is a basic cell phone game. And that's also resource management. So people will say, so what resources are you managing? Space.
Yeah.
Space, how you position your snake thing, eating all those balls, I guess, or eggs, who knows what. Well, anyway, so I think the biggest benefit, which you can apply, practical application in life, is resource management. Life is all about resource management. You have so many resources: time, money, what else? Skills, talents, and you're managing them as a Christian for the glory of God. And games help you realize that, because games have an objective, to get the highest score, to be the last one surviving. And well, the Bible describes the life of Christians as a race, right? Like you're supposed to reach the end. And games help you do that by helping you realize that life also has limited resources and that you must do everything and anything to reach the finish line, which is heaven with God, with your faith intact.
You know, speaking a little bit on benefits of the games, actually it brings me back to when I was in college. I remember playing a game called Heroes of Terror, and me and my friends were really, really bad at the game. Like, for example, you'd have 1,500 MMR, so you start with matchmaking points or whatever. We would drop to like 1,300, 1,200. We were so bad because we didn't have good communication skills, we didn't have teamwork. And when we realized that we had to, work together as a cohesive team, one team with one mind, with one goal of winning, instead of being selfish and killing each other's steals or doing crazy things or
Oh, no,
firing or whatever.
you can't
We
say
really had to
if
stick
no,
together.
you can't say it's skill stealing. It's kill securing. Right now, that's what the new kids call it. Oh, I didn't steal your kill. I just secured the kill, so our team would get their goal.
when I when in those times, I really saw us as friends really like connect with each other better, communicate better. And whenever we had before, like whenever we have projects and stuff, most of the time we wouldn't do that. We're just loose friends. We never thought of the idea of working together to finish anything. But when we got into these games, we did something that we could relate to. We communicated even better than before. I mean, you know what I mean? Boys like they get attracted to different types of games, right? A lot of people like FPS games. Some of us like MOBAs or stuff like Dota or whatever. But every game has a common goal, and teamwork and communication and stuff like that. It becomes really a core thing for these games. And if you relate that to us like Christians, we can do the same thing, right? In the church with each other, you know, just because of this coronavirus epidemic that we have doesn't mean that we can't do anything online. Like a lot of people have sermons online, right? Like we do here at the Porto Fellowship. We have our Sunday service every Sunday at 10 a.m. If anybody would like to join that, there's a link at our Facebook. The Porto
Wow,
Fellowship.
that was a very quick
Okay.
self plug.
We also have Friday fellowships that start at 7 if anyone's interested in that. So, everybody's welcome. We're a friendly community. Anyway, so
I think he beat you to it, Josh. The self plug.
A little self promotion won't hurt. I don't think that's something that.
Yeah, it's for a good cause.
Yes, of course, for a good cause.
Yeah, for a good cause, of course. So that's what I really think. It teaches us a lot of things. Like back then when I was in the church, I was I wasn't very involved. I would say in my early high school years, I wasn't, I was communicating with others. I can remember my brother, he said, why aren't you talking to the other church members? You know what I mean? Why aren't you getting involved with that? Why aren't you communicating with them? You guys would have stuff that you guys would do. And I remember sometimes you guys would go to, we'd have trips together and whatever, church bonding. I would never go to a single thing like that. But once I got comfortable, once I learned how to communicate, once I learned how to work together with you guys in the church, do stuff, communicate with you guys, I finally found a way to integrate myself in the church, not just be, someone that just walks into the church, listens to the sermon, leaves, knows nobody, doesn't interact with anybody.
There's definitely a lot of benefits to video games. Like we can really talk in length about how video games have benefited us, whether or not it is like whether or not we're actually using it right now. But I guess we are.
I am.
Ads.
I am.
Wow.
Like I am. And I'm not gonna lie. I am. I am using it right now.
Wow.
One of the biggest complaints with video games is, aside from it being a possible time suck, there are a lot more of the more violent video games, and not just violent. Some of them are or can influence players negatively. So I'm looking at the top video games of 2020. So a lot of the games right now, except the first one,
Actually, a friend of told me about that. It's really it's just like Stardew Valley if you've ever played it, but with animals. It's really good
Yeah.
actually.
I,
It's really
I was looking into it, and it's something that I would probably play now because I'm not so much of a heavy gamer now. But it's something that I can play maybe once in a while. But the other games here, like Doom Eternal and Resident Evil
cyberpunk.
3,
Doom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last and what the other? These are just the console games. The more famous games that a lot of the youth today are playing, like Fortnite or Dota or Mobile Legends. Those are all about like yeah, they're about planning, multitasking, teamwork, resource management. There's also a lot of like fighting and
Mhm.
violence. No, so I'm going to move on to another uh, video. It may be a little longer than the others, but I can we can just cut this. So, but yeah, let's look at this.
Oh, D4. Actually, a friend of mine is waiting for this to come out. They said it'd be out next year or the end of this year. He's complaining actually. He's always complaining that
The
they always
classic.
delay.
This is a classic. Man.
I personally I played the first one in high school, and I played the second one in high school and college. So
Second
this
one.
was also um, a big part of my youth. Uh, whether that's bad or good,
Good or bad, for better or for
uh,
worse, it's
for
done.
better or
So
for worse.
you don't have
Yeah,
to worry about that.
I wasn't able to play the third one because I was already like it took so long. I was already grown up and my priorities changed. I had a job, so I couldn't play
All
the
in.
third one. But now the fourth one is out, and again, um, I can. I'm not thinking of playing this, but this has got my attention because the past games were really big for me, so that's why. So let's try to skip a little bit.
Open your eyes. There is no light here. You came to the darkness for knowledge. Speak the words. Call her home.
By three, they come. By three, thy way opens. By the blood of the willing, we call thee home. Hail, daughter of hatred, creator of sanctuary. Hail, Lilith.
Okay, so
Hmm.
I know that was really heavy, but my first reaction to that was I don't really remember those Diablo games to be that scary before. Back when I was in high school, they were about like they were still about like killing demons, killing evil monsters, zombies, but they weren't really scary to me. They were more of an adventure. But now when I look at this trailer, my heart was pumping. I don't know if it's either I'm excited or I'm like seeing this through Christian eyes now since I've just recently been born again. Um, I'm looking at it and it doesn't seem like it was that way before. And I don't know, maybe it's a little darker now, a little more like scarier. What do you guys think of it?
I actually have the opposite reaction.
What?
That sounds really weird. Like as a Christian, I know. Like okay, so we had this conversation, right, Josh? Like a couple of years or months ago. I don't even remember how people depict angels. Like the Europeans, they're great masters. They paint out angels to be cute, chubby little children with wings. And if we really stick to the description of angels in the Bible, they don't look like that
No,
at all.
not even
So the same
close.
thing with demons. We don't even know what they look like. So like that game trailer with that woman. I'm sorry, I haven't played Diablo at all. Like Lilith, quote unquote, this mother of whatever. I don't even know. Like we don't even know if a demon looks like that. So like for me, it was interesting, but I don't think that it would challenge my faith because it's for me it's just pure entertainment to delve into something quote unquote
Okay.
uh what is it, how do I say, taboo, but we don't
Mhm.
really know,
Oh,
we don't really know what that taboo is supposed to look like because we do it like I don't know, something like that. How
and
about you, Rory?
I think to follow up on that actually, you know, a lot of people talk about violence in games. They talk about sacrilegious or whatever, stuff like witchcraft and stuff. I know a lot of people that play games, and a lot of games right now have stuff that are involved in magic. Like, for example, there have been games back then, ranging from stuff like Rules Online or Kingdom, all these other games like Perfect World, even Ragnarok back then, Age, Wizard, stuff like that. A lot of people think that since it involves magic, as a Christian, you can't touch that type of stuff. I've met people like that before. Because you said you call yourself a Christian, but you play games with witchcraft, with magic, with creatures, horrid looking creatures and demons, and all these blood summonings or whatever. And they see through this type of eyes that, we're endorsing those type of things. And if you take it from a perspective that it's like what my brother said, it's you do it for the entertainment factor. You don't believe in actual, magic or whatever. It's what the game puts there. It's what you play, and you, at the end of the day, as a Christian, just take it as a game. You take it as entertainment and nothing else. I mean, people have been saying, if people who play games like Call of Duty or Counter Strike or what will end up with guns in their hand. And this is the reason why people are going to schools and they have all these schools. I don't believe that. I believe it starts somewhere at home.
I actually have to second Rory's reaction because I think okay, so if you guys ever had a Game Boy, I know you guys have played Pokemon.
Yeah.
I know you guys know who Sabrina is. So Sabrina is supposed to be the psychic gym leader who owns Abra, transforms it a Kadabra, and then at the end has an Alakazam. Okay, so we've established that there is this creature who is self a psychic quote unquote type. There was this cult in the States, I think, I'm not sure, I don't really remember, where there was this like a cult of Sabrina of this fictional character.
Real life quote.
Yes, a real
Yeah.
life cult. They believe in quote unquote Sabrina's psychic Pokemon. And, like I know it sounds comedic, but for them it was a real
Cult of
thing. But
Sabrina.
as a Christian, we know it's not real,
Yeah.
and it's nothing. It's actually just if there was a cult and if they did do whatever, then it's really just demon worship. But as a Christian, at the end of the day, you know that Sabrina is a fictional character. You know that these quote unquote sidekick Pokemon don't really exist. So it's same thing with these quote unquote magic things in like this like a wizard class or whatever. It doesn't exist, but you're just taking it for the entertainment value. Same thing as like watching movies like Lord of the Rings. Okay, so Gandalf the White Mage. Who is a white mage? And like if we're strictly speaking, there is no such thing as a white mage at all. Because if you're a mage, you're supposedly practicing in witchcraft, which is demonic and etc. But we know it's for the entertainment value. So I think it's the same thing with movies and games, where if you're a Christian and you have reached that point where you can segregate and compartmentalize things in their proper place, then those kind of things won't bother you as much. But as if you are especially in a very large organization and you have many new members and watching those kind of movies might make them stumble, then I would suggest that it would be better to abstain. Not because that watching those movies or playing those games will ensnare you, but it will make those newer members stumble. So the rule of abstaining instead of participating, I think, would apply in that case.
Yeah, really good points. It was just my personal opinion that I found it really scary. But after what you said, like it makes sense because a lot of it is just for entertainment, and they're probably just doing it for shock value, and we don't even
Yes,
know.
shock. Like everything
Uh,
is shock value.
Exactly.
Okay, so do you remember Lady Gaga?
yeah, of course.
And she released her song Judas on Easter. Okay, she released her song Judas on Easter. Like, why on all days Easter? And like we know, like shock value sells. She became a hot topic. Everyone talked about it, and that's it's instant.
I
It's instant
remember that.
coverage. So yeah, I think it's also just business when they
Yeah,
did that.
yeah, trying to get eyeballs on their product. So let's try to pull things back a little, because the last video we looked at, it was kind of for other people who are not really into video games. If they see that kind of game trailer, um, they're going to think negatively of video games in general.
Mhm.
Because oh, this is about like summoning demons. Uh,
Yeah.
But
but
if you
the topic for that game is it's not it's mo- it's mostly about killing them.
yes,
So
resisting them.
Yeah.
Like there's this new boss, there's this new evil force that you have to beat, and that's her, Lilith. And you're playing as this character who's supposed to banish her away. So people I think also misunderstand the trailer because whenever they see like blood, horns, and magic, they scream heresy, heresy, without really trying to understand what the green trailer is about.
yeah. So I'm gonna show some other things here.
Is it this one? Oh, it is. Is that a king onion? The
What a
mustache, no.
mustache. Oh,
Oh, that's really cute. That dog. I think a friend played this. They said it was really good.
hey, what's this about?
So you're like chefs who are supposed to cook,
Okay.
and you're supposed to help each other like make an order. I think with the
Okay.
various resources that are available. So if you do it by yourself, it's slower.
Okay.
But if you do it with like a friend with teamwork, you get things done faster.
So here's another one.
You know what? With all these Nintendo Switch advertisements, I really want to buy one now.
I still
Yeah.
have bought that 3DS.
Your attention, please. The Nook Inc. getaway package charter flight will soon be arriving at the deserted island.
See, not all games are about demons.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
here's
that's
not.
true.
here's
They're
something that
really not.
Ooh,
It's really not.
a lot of you, I mean, both of you will probably like.
I think my brother has played this before, haven't you?
I played this before. Well, not on the Switch.
Have
I heard this got really good reviews.
Yeah, no, this is a pretty good game.
What do you
If
think,
you're a
Chris?
Zelda fan, you definitely have to play this. It has some fantastic mechanics.
Hmm.
yeah, just the trailer is kind of breathtaking.
The graphics really good. I mean, a lot of stuff in this game is really
No,
good.
but I have a question. Is the trailer the same with the in-game gameplay? Because most trailers just give you this
Yeah,
generated thing for you to sell the game, and when you get into the game, it doesn't look
it's
anything
pretty
like.
good. The shell shading in this game is excellent.
Ah.
It's probably one of the best shell shading games I've ever seen.
Ready to hear what happened 100 years ago.
And I really like this game because I think it builds upon itself, right? They had so many, what is it, the Ocarina of Time, what is it, Din and
Ages,
Sages Seasons,
seasons, four swords.
Four Swords. I remember that.
Yeah, and here's another
Let's
one.
go to a place.
Okay, so Minecraft is the premier building game, I guess.
The only
I'll be
level
honest, I've never played
Even
this
my
game in my
friends who are
life.
like 20
Never
plus
played this
play
game.
Minecraft. And I don't think anything less of them. I think it's a great game.
My nephew really loves this game.
Yeah, he does. He really does.
Yeah,
build anything you want.
I've even heard that even schools are using this to help their students, like with creativity
Really?
exercises. Yeah, I saw an article where some schools in the U.S. are using this as an activity, so they can try to create.
I think it's a positive thing, like how they use games through like education through gaming, because then education becomes pleasurable, and
Yeah,
kids would want to learn because it's fun instead of the regular chalk and board taking down notes. And I mean, it depends on the person, I guess, because they're different kind of people.
Yeah, that
Like
learn.
some people are visual,
Yeah.
so like if you teach them through a game, they would love that. But then there are also those people who would prefer the blackboard and chalk. So like my brother and I have been talking that sometimes maybe there should be a way in education for you to segregate those kind of kids, those who learn visually and those who learn um,
More hands-on.
like,
Oh,
more traditionally.
traditionally. Yeah.
Traditionally, that way they can learn or use the mode to the best of their ability to unlock their full of potential, something like that.
yeah, great. So as we saw that, yeah, not all video games are violent or about demons. Some are about creativity. Some are about nice feelings, nice adventures,
Yeah.
breathtaking
Building
landscapes.
community. I think that was Animal Crossing, right? She built a tent and was like
Yeah,
helping animal friends, I guess.
with video games in general, though, what people, what Christians have to reflect with it. No, it's not just uh, you can't really, if you're a parent, you can't really tell your kids not to play all video games because video games are so, or the video games in general is so ingrained in
Diverse.
our society.
Yeah.
Like their friends are gonna be playing some kind of video game, and and they're probably gonna uh, feel like they're left out if they're not playing that game, or it's really easy and maybe beneficial even like for me to have your child play video games if they're old enough to understand the video game and the limits
So
about
true.
so you have to think about like, does the game that you're playing, does it control you, or the are you the one in control of what's being influenced upon you, like, or does that the time that you use to play video games, is it taking away a lot of time that you should have dedicated to
Something else.
something else like your studies, or um, learning more about God's word, or the ministry? Do video games like cause a detriment to your family and your relationships with your friends? Like, is it taking you away from them? Is it taking you away from church, from Christ? So I think for me, we should Christians shouldn't just dismiss video games entirely, but it's part of us to be wary and to be mindful of what we put into our bodies and into our minds, into our hearts. Like, um, one verse I can cite is like First Corinthians 8:9. Like, be careful, however, that the exercise of your rights does not become a stumbling block to the weak, or Philippians 4:8. Like, finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things, and just avoid uh, the not so good things. Or if you even have to indulge in that, you have to teach yourself, or if you're a parent or if you're a sibling, you have to teach your family member about what they are in consuming, like how it may influence them in a negative way, and just teach them what they can do. Teach them that not everything they indulge in, not everything they see on TV or they consume in media, is something that has to be an influence to their decision making, or to their spirituality. So
You know, I also thought back to a verse. It was in First Corinthians 6:12. I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything. There comes a time where when you play games, we spend time, we get involved in the game, and then there's a fine line between addiction and there's a fine line between making time for other things. For example, when I get up in the morning, I remember one time when games were really a big part of me, and I was like completely addicted to this certain game where I don't know, maybe played like more than 8, 9 hours a day because there were like specific requirements. I had to wake up at certain times to do certain things. So instead of waking up in the morning, usually what I usually do would I pray. I have my small Bible study. I read like my devotional, Lakabi or from Daily Bread, and I reflect on something. The first thing I did when I woke up is turn on the computer. I mean, I went directly from my bed,
Yeah, that's
raised my body, press that power button on
yeah,
that
that's
PC.
already a
I
very
went
red
straight to
flag.
business. I went
As red
straight
as
to
it can
business
be.
instead of action. And that was a time where I said, "Wow." When I look back to what I used to do, when I look back to how it mastered me. I didn't master the game. I wasn't in control. I was being controlled. My schedule was being controlled. The things I could have done with the time that I had wasn't being optimized. I was doing, when I go to sleep, I usually would pray. But sometimes after my addiction, I'm so like mentally exhausted, I just hit the bed and fall asleep and then wake up and do the whole cycle again. Because it became such a habit. It became something that instead of helping me relax was my focus. And then instead of filtering it out as something, you know, as relaxation, that was my plan. At the start. The game would be a form of relaxation for me at the end of the day. And then it became something more. Like after I used to get off work, I remember I had a certain job that took consume some but not some, most of my
Is it
time.
is the logo color orange?
Oh, I don't know. It could be. You know, I hate the color orange.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Anyways, from that certain job that I had, I used it as like a way to relax, and it stopped being a way of relaxing. It became something more of, you know, my focus, and I would weave it in between my work. I would become less productive, and it became, unhealthy for me. And then when that particular job did go away, and I was, had more free time, instead of reverting back to, using my time well, waking up, doing my uh, Bible study or praying or, even meditating on God's word, I found myself doing other things that weren't worth my time, or things that were worthy of my time. I mean, focusing on something that in the long run wouldn't have any effect on me as a person. It became detrimental. It didn't improve me as a person. I mean, there are benefits, and we already discussed before, but there are also negative effects if it becomes something that controls you. So that's all I have to say on the matter.
Well, for me, okay, so like this topic has been a really big part of my life because I always like take time to play in a day because like I just need downtime, like just to relax. And I hate how society always blames games for their kids ending up violent and or stupid. Okay, I really use the hard word stupid. Okay, why? Because like let's be honest, parents nowadays are lazy. You don't want to take care of your kid, you make them watch TV, YouTube, and you give them cell phones. Oh
Oh
no. Oh
no!
no. And then since you're lazy parents, and my kid is being so violent now, he's being so stupid. It must be the game's fault. It must be TV. It's not the parent's fault because they wouldn't spend time with their kid. Like we need to blame something for goodness sake. And well, conveniently, there's TV and there's YouTube and games. Like guys, society, parents, get it together. Don't blame games for your kids' problem. Okay, so like let's think about it this way. Okay, so this is gonna be a really long rant, really long rant because I love video games. And okay, so let's say is video games is like a gun. Can you say a gun is evil? No, you can't. You can only call it a tool. The person using the gun becomes evil when they use the gun to kill someone. Same thing with video games. If someone abuses the video games, if the video game transforms you into a person that is no longer a Christian, if this game makes you angry, salty, it makes you toxic, it makes you curse, it makes you non-Christian, then this video game, whatever it is, it's not for you. You should stop. And or lessen time. Depends like on who you are. But if this game helps you relax, if this game doesn't bother you, if okay, let's talk about it. The saltiness and toxicity, there is always someone like that. There is no perfect community where it's all hugs and kisses and cuddles. That doesn't exist. You will always meet, forgive me for these words, that one certain jackass who's going to say bad things to you to make you feel bad. And it depends on you as a Christian gamer to let it affect you or not. So that's it. There's also something I'd want to share. It's in the let's see, let me look at it. It's the Westminster Short Catechism, question number 1. What is the chief end of man? And well, the answer is man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Okay, so that's been established, to glorify God and enjoy Him forever. Question number 1. So let's ask, how does gaming relate to that? And I think it relates to it perfectly clearly. Enjoying God. So let's think about it. Where do games come from? Games come from people, and these people have talents. Where do those talents come from? God. So if a game comes from a non-Christian atheist company, their game still comes from God. Because they can't do nothing without God. They wouldn't be able to make it without God. This is with Christian eyeglasses, by the way. So if you're aware of that all talents come from God, then gaming is enjoying God by enjoying the abilities and or skills that was put into making that. Right. So wow, gaming isn't evil. It's actually enjoying God and the talents He's given other people.
What a shocker.
Right? What a shock. Okay. Lastly, let's compare it this. Let's say it this way. Let's say it's not gaming. Let's say there is a Christian person. He is sick, like really, really sick.
Okay.
And the only person who can operate is this atheist doctor who is really skilled in his field. Should that Christian abstain from surgery just because the doctor is an atheist? Or does the Christian undergo the surgery because he knows that atheist doctor's skill still comes from God? God uses heathens to punish Israel, the people he loves. If you look into the Bible, God even hardened Pharaoh's heart. So nothing is not in God's control. Everything is in God's control, even games, by the way, even those gaming companies. So for me, lastly, I know I've ranted a lot because like I love gaming. I game. I am a Christian gamer.
Good
And I
channel.
think that it's from God. And that if parents are so worried about the games their children play, you should play that game. Parents, play the game and tell your kids, oh, you can't
Josh?
play this because I've played this. That this happens, that happens. Why don't you play this game instead? I've played this game and I think it's okay. So I think parents have to be more involved in the lives of their kids instead of saying, oh, don't play games. Because it's like people, like, okay, last thing. I'm sorry, it's a really long rant. Like if you have a bad experience with a Filipino and the Filipino scams you, are all Filipinos scammers? Is there no righteous Filipino in the whole entire world? Same thing with games. One bad game cannot taint the whole entire basket of games. It's on a case to case basis. And please remember that all talents come from God. Thank you.
Amen.
Hey.
Yeah. That was good.
It was really long rant. Like even I
Yeah.
felt it was long.
Okay. Anything else we can say aside
No,
from
no. What do you have to say, Josh? Like I'm worried that I just
Continue.
talked my head off
Yeah.
without letting you speak.
no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, um, just recently, I just discovered or learned or had to understand, tried to understand, and like, um, really read about it and meditated about it, and like really helped myself, pushed myself to understand that God is in control of all things.
Amen.
Amen.
And that may be hard to think at first, to believe at first,
Hmm.
but it's also a little comforting knowing that um, if you're if you're in a bad situation or something's happening to you or you know whatever is happening to you, if you're celebrating some a victory or of some sort, or if you're like mourning or whatever, any situation, you know that God is holding you in control of everything around you. And it can be hard to accept it, but when you do, it becomes freeing a bit. So knowing that or understanding that everything is, or God is sovereign in everything, um, that's in line with what you said. Where all talents, even talents from atheists, or even yeah, just even Diablo 4 was created by people with the talents they received from God. So
Amen.
filter,
Yeah, filter.
Christian filter.
I like that word.
I like the Christian filter, but
Yeah.
just remember, guys, that like
Christian
before you
filter.
judge, get to know the thing that you're judging.
Yeah. Don't
Yeah.
write it off.
So Lors, anything
No,
before we close?
I think Enrique is
Oh,
really
I'm sorry. I hugged everything.
not really eating up all of the topic time, but I think you really said it well concerning about games in general and how I kind of like how we use that Christian filter. Sometimes there's games that aren't really, you know, beneficial for the kids. There are games that you can use to relax, but there's some games that really are not for
Just a no. Like a
yeah,
big
I mean
no,
like
no, no, no.
there are a lot of games actually
Yeah,
that
a lot of it
are
like no,
a
no.
good thing that some of them aren't that popular, but we should really be careful in selecting. And as for parents, I understand that I'm not a parent, I don't have a kid, and I'm sure Kuya Josh can relate to his son about this. The games he goes through, the videos he watches. We should always be very careful in filtering what we
Amen.
see
Amen.
and what we consume. Okay, even if you think that as a Christian your faith is strong, you have a good mindset, you have a you know the scripture, you have a good understanding of your faith, but there are things that you shouldn't delve in, even with that you know uh, set mindset that you have. So the Christian filter.
Hashtag
Yeah,
the
hashtag
Christian
Christian
filter.
filter.
I love that.
Christian filter.
You should coin that
Especially
hashtag.
on things